Hi and welcome to my channel, I'm McKay. Today's video is a review of 4 pieces from Sezane: the Leontine, Emile, Conrad, and Paula Babies. Let's get into it. Starting with my baby, the Leontine sweater. This is one of the most worn pieces in my wardrobe and I'm still excited to wear it. It's an absolutely incredible piece and this has been in Sezane's collection for several years and for good reason. I ordered this in January of 2023, so it's been over a year and a half, coming up on 2 years, and it still looks absolutely incredible. I've worn this for a total of 76 times, or about once a week, so I feel very qualified to talk about this. It's one of my favorite pieces in my closet and has a very low cost per wear because of how often I wear it. I love this crew neck fit. It doesn't fit too snug on the neck. There's just enough space for it to be quite flattering and versatile. It also has working buttons, so you can wear it fully unbuttoned, partially buttoned, or all the way up, and it's going to look great. And it also has really thoughtful details. From the tortoiseshell buttons to the reinforced placket, everything is done just immaculately. I also really love these slightly puffed sleeves, which give it a really feminine and fun touch. And I also appreciate the cuffed wrist, which helps keep things out of the way and just avoids it getting dirty. So very practical as well. I really can't think of any situations that this wouldn't work for. I've worn it to the beach, to the office, on trips, around the house. Because it's cotton, it's going to be very versatile. It's breathable and it will work for a variety of temperatures. You can easily layer things underneath, or you can wear it open if it's a little bit warmer, and I always have this in rotation. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is, I always have this available and I wear it all the time. It's definitely a year-round staple. Even though it is a very classic, timeless piece, I think that they do a great job with the finishing touches and just a really thoughtful design overall that makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more feminine, and very practical. So if you can't tell, I highly recommend the Leontine. It comes in a crew as well, and I would love to see more pieces like this from Sezane. They have a ton of knitwear and I would love to see more cotton. Next up is the Emile Cardigan, which has been getting a ton of attention lately. This is a very chunky, soft sweater. It comes in a ton of colorways and I think there's something for everyone. What I love about this is its design. I feel like it's such a unique design, but it's also really classic and it's something that you can enjoy for years to come. I've had this for several months now and I've loved wearing it every single time. I love the slight balloon sleeve. And again, this also has a cinched cuff, so it doesn't get in the way, very practical, and it's just done so beautifully. Sezane is known for its very feminine, beautiful knitwear, and this is no exception. The fabric is very fluffy and soft from the alpaca and wool, and you can see those long, fuzzy fibers. But I will say it can be a little scratchy. So I've actually tried this on a couple times in store. I tried an extra small and a small, and I remember it being noticeably scratchy and just really not being able to get behind that for $170 and deciding to not get it. And I was still thinking about it months later. I decided to try a size up in a size medium and I really, really like it. For some reason, the size up is just a lot better because it's not sitting nearly as close to your skin, so you have a little bit more room, and it's made the world of difference. I will say it still is a little bit scratchy, especially around the neckline. I don't think that you would be able to get away with this without something underneath. You're gonna want a t-shirt or something. I tend to notice it feels a little bit scratchy for the first few minutes, but then after that, it kind of goes away and I stop noticing it. If you are pretty sensitive, this might not be the right piece for you, but for most people, I think you can get away with just wearing a t-shirt underneath. This is made of 55% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 15% wool. The polyamide really doesn't bother me. The way I see it, it's added to make some of these more delicate fibers stronger, so I feel like that's a very practical call and it makes sense to me. However, I wouldn't go any higher than that. If this was 40 or 50% synthetic, I don't think it would be worth it, but I think that 30% is reasonable. I've noticed very minimal shedding, especially because of those very fine alpaca fibers. I'll see tiny little bits of blue sometimes come off if I'm wearing a white t-shirt underneath, and I can just brush them off. It's not like they stain anything. But I will say that I have a similar issue with other alpaca sweaters, so I don't think it's unique to this. I haven't had any pilling so far. This is worn very well. It's also quite warm, so I'm excited to wear it during the cold season, and this is gonna be great for fall and winter. We do need to talk about the downsides. When this arrived, I noticed that some of the threads on the buttons were a bit loose and that hadn't been properly tied off. This isn't a deal breaker, but I will say for $170, I'm expecting near perfection. So that was a bit disappointing because it does show a lack of attention to detail. The second thing is that upon further inspection, I noticed that the yarn on the inside wasn't tied off. Again, not a deal breaker, but is disappointing, especially at this price point, and really shouldn't be happening. That being said, I do still think that it's worth the price. I think that it's worth $170, and I think that is a fair price, but I probably wouldn't pay any more. For me, I feel like the design and the colorways are so unique and it's pretty practical. So for me, it's very worth it. And I know I'm gonna get a ton of wear out of it. So that's the Emile. The last top that we need to talk about is the Conrad T-Shirt. And this was pretty disappointing, if I'm gonna be honest. I had been looking for a T-shirt to replace an old T-shirt that I had from years and originally gotten from H&M. And my sweet husband decided to surprise me with this for Christmas. He wanted to help me elevate my basics. He knew that that's something that I was interested in, and he knew I liked Sezane. So he got this for me, and it's really disappointing. Shockingly, Sezane has been selling this piece for 10 years, and I don't know how it hasn't been improved. I've worn this about 20 times, but I hardly ever wear it anymore because it didn't take very long until it started getting misshapen. And you can see here that this collar is just totally misshapen and wrinkled. The tag will flip up when I wear it and stick out, and even the hem at the bottom will flip up and it just won't stay down. And even though, yes, I do tuck in my t-shirts, that shouldn't be happening. Yes, I know that I could just wrinkle this collar area, and I have done that before, but it's a t-shirt. I shouldn't need to iron a t-shirt. I feel like that's just a little bit ridiculous, especially for $40. This is just absolutely not worth it. It's a pretty straightforward generic design. I just don't think that there's anything special about this. You could find something similar just about anywhere. It's a mottled gray, which is nice, but again, like this is replacing a t-shirt that was almost identical from H&M that I probably got for like $5 or $10. And my top from H&M lasted me for years before it needed to be replaced. The sizing is also a bit odd. It definitely runs small and it shrinks. The photos on the website tend to show like a very oversized casual look, and that's not what this is. There's no way those models were wearing their true size. They had to have sized up 1 or 2 sizes because this is a little bit cropped and it just naturally fits a little small and it definitely shrinks. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't have a whole lot to say other than don't buy it. You could get so many better shirts for this price or less, so this is a pass. Lastly, and one of my favorites, is the Paula Babies. These are such a beautiful shoe and I'm just obsessed. I can't get over them. They were on my wish list for probably 6 months to a year and I finally decided to get them and I couldn't be happier. They're not perfect, but they are really nice for what they are. These retail for $215. I ended up getting them on Depop or Poshmark. They come in 15 different colorways, so you will definitely be able to find something. They have neutrals and some really fun colors too. I went with the patent black and it's just beautiful. It has this really nice glossy finish and really thoughtful feminine details. I love the gold hardware on the buckles. They just look so lovely. It's not too much of a warm gold. It's just perfect. It's such a walkable heel height and would work for a ton of different occasions. You can wear this to dinner or to the office. It's really great. And I think that you can also style it a lot of ways. You can wear it on its own, and I also love the look of it with socks, so you can keep wearing it as the season gets a bit cooler. They really are such a good shoe, and they're pretty comfortable for what they are. The first time I wore these, it was to a work summit, and I was standing and moving around all day. I want to say I was in these for at least 12 hours, and it wasn't too bad. So I wore these all day, kind of in more of like a typical work situation where I was sitting and standing, and then I ended up going to dinner with some coworkers and walking back in downtown Seattle downhill. It was probably a 20-minute walk to the hotel, and they weren't awesome. Like obviously they were not crazy comfortable, but they weren't too bad. And then from there, I still ended up standing for another hour or two, and I survived. It wasn't too bad, to be honest, and that was my first time wearing them, so they definitely weren't broken in. They weren't molded to my foot in any way. So that I think says a lot about them. The only caveat is that they are extremely narrow. And this is something that I'm surprised more people aren't talking about. I've heard people say that they run small, but I don't think that's true. I usually wear a size 8.5, and a lot of people said to size up, especially if you're in between sizes, because they only sell whole sizes. So I ended up getting these in a size 9, and they're a touch big, and I would have been curious to try the size 8. I think that when people say that they run small, what they really mean is that they run narrow. They are extremely narrow. You can tell just from the shape of this toe box that it definitely comes in quite a bit, so that could be an issue. This isn't going to be great if you're on your feet all day, that's for sure. And I don't think that you should be wearing these all day. That can't be good for your foot health. But the first place that got sore was definitely my toes on the outside. And then towards the end of the night, it was just like this toe box area because it was so snug. I do wish that they were a tiny bit wider. I think that would just really make them perfect, but they are very cute. So I'm still very happy with them. It's just something to be aware of, especially if you're doing a ton of walking or standing. The other thing that's important to know is the sole. So the sole on the heel is thicker than the sole in the front, which means that this front section is going to wear out faster over time. Not a deal breaker, but something to be aware of. The other thing is that while these are very cute, the toes do stick out further than the sole. So as you're walking, you are probably going to be getting more scuffs on the toes versus a shoe that has a thicker sole and extends past the toes, which is gonna kind of absorb some of that wear and tear. I do think that it works for this style. I think it would look weird if the sole's extended past, but it's just something to be aware of as you're making a decision. One thing I really appreciate is that all of the straps are adjustable. However, it's kind of cut in an interesting way. And as this part of the strap goes around your heel, the edges will kind of like puff out a little bit and they'll stick out a bit. It's not anything super dramatic. It's really not that bad. I would have preferred if it had fit a little bit better, but I've seen this issue for other people as well, and it's something I can live with. I really don't think it's that big of an issue. It's pretty subtle. I mean, it is what it is. Overall, I really love these shoes and I am so happy every time I wear them. I love even just seeing them in my closet and walking by them every day. It makes me so happy. So this is something that I'm very happy with. I know they're not 100% perfect, but they are really nice, and I think that it's a fair price. So there you have it. Those are the Sezane pieces in my collection. Let me know what your favorite pieces are and what I should try next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!